Let's have a look at a set of results that was released this morning. It's in the property sector. The company's name is Tower Property Fund. It's the half-year results. In the studio with me is the CEO, Marc Edwards, a very relaxed and happy-looking CEO. You listed in July 2013, Marc. Things have been going quite well since then, I understand.
It has, yeah. We focused on our green mandate of trying to reduce operating costs in the properties, which has certainly helped us keep our operating costs low. We do believe we're going into a challenging time in South Africa. Certainly, electricity rollouts you mentioned this morning.
Yes. How do you cope with that as a property owner?
Well, you install solar and you reduce your total cost of occupancy. We've done lighting retrofits, etc., etc. So you try and reduce the burden on the tenants.
Yeah, and looking at these results, you own, let's go back a step actually. You own a diversified portfolio of 32 commercial, industrial and retail properties, mainly in the Western Cape. Can you embellish that a bit?
Well, it's by value in the Western Cape, it's now 50%. Joburg's fast catching up and is soon to take over at the end of February. But most of our activity is in Johannesburg and KZN at the moment, but our biggest property is Cape Quarter, which is on your doorstep here.
Yeah, if you open that door, I can see it now. And it went through a tough time. I remember when I used to work for a radio station there, and I used to walk around the centre, and there was to let after about a year. What's happened since then?
Well, I hope you're going for your coffees there now at VDE Cafe and buying your lunch at the spa. Those two are doing excellently.
I actually bought a coffee there this morning, and I must say I never drink coffee. I'm wired to the ceiling. But it's successful now, right?
It's doing really well. It's got 50% office tenants made up of Deloitte, Pernod Ricard, Lint, some big listed companies. There's some announcements coming shortly. And we've taken it from that boutique shopping centre to more of a mainstream shopping centre. We've introduced national tenants, which are doing really nicely. But it's a centre that you have to really focus on. You've got to get your hands dirty. The same with the rest of our portfolio. We own a lot of B-grade office, which hasn't been in vogue for a while. Fortunately, ours have done well. We do have problems with properties which we're starting to struggle with, and as we grow, we'll sell out of that tail.
Okay, let's have a look at the semantics now. Interim distribution increased by 27% for the half year to 42 cents per share. Headline earnings up 73%. Total return of 19% for the 2014 calendar year. This time last year, Marc, we were all worried about the property sector because we'd just had a 50 basis point rise in interest rates in South Africa. We got another 25 basis points in July, but everything's fantastic since then, and property is doing so well.
Absolutely, and to be expected, I think, for the rest of this year. Our view in May of last year was interest rates lower for longer. We do think come next year they have to increase interest rates. But what a lot of people forget about is the funds are hedged against interest rates by and large. I mean, the big guys are almost 100% hedged. We hedged out to 74% of our debt. And as bonds strengthen, property will continue to flourish. The nice thing is it's a game that pays you to wait. So, for example, we've got a 10%, north of 10% forward yield at the moment. With capital growth in a defensive market, you can certainly sit on property and be quite safe.
Are you worried about the fact that there's so many companies coming to the market? Do you think to yourself maybe there's a little bit of oversupply here?
Yeah, there's definitely a lack of stock in South Africa. You've seen a lot of guys go offshore and do tremendously well. A lot of the new guys that have come to market have been developers. So Pivotal, Attack are really big South African institutional developers, which are doing really nicely. So for us as a small player, there's still a niche. We're still finding opportunity. And
of course, you're waiting for one of the big boys to knock on your door and say, by the way, Marc, I'd like to acquire you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's corporate activity in the sector.
Yeah.
There was talk of a lot of it. We open to that possibility, but it's got to make sense for shareholders. And you've seen that appetite starting to dwindle, where guys are just putting their mancos in and making a lot of money. So shareholders are wary of that activity.
Marc, thanks so much for popping in. Well done on those numbers. That's Marc Edwards, the CEO of the Tower Property Fund.